The first cluster munitions arrived in Ukraine. This was announced by the commander of the Ground Forces, Oleksandr Syrskyi, in an interview with the BBC military correspondent. They will be ready to use within a few days, he added. According to him, American cluster munitions have already arrived in Ukraine. They will be ready for use within a few days. At the same time, M777 howitzers, which will fire shells, are already in positions around Bakhmut. The general says that recapturing the city would have more than just a symbolic meaning. He claims that Bakhmut is also strategically important as a gateway to other key cities in the region. We'd like to add about cluster munitions. Since we have no aviation, we destroy Russian trenches, dugouts, and other defense fortifications with artillery. We have less artillery than the Russians and less shells, too, but cluster munitions will increase our firepower several times. Now we are successfully destroying AMD, EW, and ELINT systems. There are also confirmations of heavy losses of the Russian artillery, but sooner or later we'll have to move on to the destruction of the infantry, because we won't be able to wage a war of attrition for a long time, given that it will drag on, and with low results in the liberation of territories, the West will begin pushing for negotiations, and, as I understand it, they don't care that we've destroyed over 130 different SPGs and howitzers in a month. Cluster munitions, which were designed for such tactics, come to help in clearing Russian defense lines, so we'll be able to spend 1 cluster shell instead of 5. 7 high-explosive shells. I'll give you an example from the Vietnam War. The USA spent 13.6 high-explosive shells or 1.7 cluster shells to kill 1 Vietnamese. Feel the difference? We'll save a lot of ordinary shells for other missions. In addition, the barrels will need repairing less often, because the artillery will fire fewer rounds per target, thus prolonging the life of our artillery, which is also very important. Also, the transfer of cluster munitions gives the West more time to increase production at its factories due to the economy of high-explosive shells.